Yeah. Well, it makes sense because can you explain, you know this better than I do, which is why I'm asking you to explain it as a landlord, but what are the actual rulings on when you can increase rent? Because obviously with a purpose built, you can start at whatever you want, right? So those are typically going to have higher rent associated with them, obviously being a newer build, newer amenities, etc. But for an existing unit, I buy it, there's a tenant in it now, they've been there for, 15 years, like just at a very high level, like what are the when are the times that you can increase rent as a landlord?
Yeah. So if your build is pre 2018, then you can only increase once a year based on a CPI like increase amount. So every year it's set based on where inflation is, et cetera, and it's a scaled down amount, but it's typically in like the 1% to 3% of what you can increase rents. Like, so if a tenant is staying in your unit for an extended period of time and your build is pre 2018, then you can increase based on that set percentage. And it's only once a year that you can increase it. When there's a turnover of a tenant, then you can, set that rent to whatever you want for that, when you're marketing it again. And then for builds post 2018, you're not constrained by that same restriction. With some of these purpose built buildings and things like that, when we talk about downtown, there's a program called an MLI Select program. It's funded by CMHC. There's 3 components within it to get kind of longer amortization or favorable insurance premiums, and it's based on accessibility, affordability, or
efficiency,
or efficiency. And so those 3 categories, there's different percent points in order to get the more favorable terms, if you will. And you can combine all 3, or you can focus on just one. And there is an MLI Select construction program with CMHC as well. So a lot of these builders are getting funding through that program. And with that, they're having to maintain at least 30% of their building is under that median. They have it's 30% of the building has to be at least, I think it's 20 or 30% below that median rental amount for that area. And so with that, they have to maintain it for at least 10 years, and they sign that agreement with CMHC, et cetera. So a lot of these purpose-built buildings that we're seeing, like I said, I'm in Centertown, there's, 5 just along Preston that have just gone up. They're all rentals. Those, I know the one at the end of Preston, Soho Italia, that one is under that program. But, it's also based on the rents of the entire area. When you've got rents, that are at 2,200 average or higher in Centertown, then you're only having to maintain under that. So, it's a reasonable program, but there is ways in which it can be, manipulated, if you will, to either address affordability, or if you're purpose built, you're hitting those energy efficiency metrics anyways, and you're not having to focus on affordability, and you can still get those favorable terms. So I find a lot of builders aren't looking to hit the affordability as much as they are the energy. And so it's not having as big an impact on rental amounts as I think they had intended to make the program.
Right. That's great. That's a great summary. I feel like people always ask that, like, well, I'll probably just all the landlords just raising their rent all the year and getting people on the streets. But it's, there are obviously safeguards in place that landlords.
And I would say if you're a tenant, if you're listening to this and you're a tenant, and you aren't sure about what your rights as a tenant are, certainly speak to the landlord and tenant board, find out what those rights are from a rate increase, because I have heard from tenants where their landlord just, were jacking up their rents arbitrarily on, and they they shouldn't be able to. And that's because their payments increased. So the unfortunate part is it becomes like, for mom and pop investors where their interest rates go up and their payments go up, they can't afford to eat that, $300, $400, $500 increase either from when they originally intended to buy that property. And so they're, trying to pass it along. When they're not able to, that's when they've been having to sell those properties. And so that new person moving in is able to move out that tenant because they're going to be owner occupying that property. So it comes a little bit of a, snowball effect in some cases as well.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe because we'd really like that.